This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 682 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. On tonight's show, we've got Elizabeth Molloy, chef to keep for Region 3 at the North American Youth Dressage Championships. And then friend of the show, Ashely Rand, joins us to talk about training in Ohio after returning home from Florida. And Coach Tony is back and will be our trainer tip.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Well, hi, Phil. How are you this week?
I'm doing pretty good. Reese, you've had a very busy week traveling up to Michigan, I guess, Traverse City.
Yep, I was in Traverse City. I flew up, I actually left kind of midday Monday, and I returned late night Sunday. So I was gone almost a week, actually. And first of all, Traverse City is a beautiful area. My best friend from college lives in Traverse City. She doesn't do horses. So in the evenings, I was able to spend some time. I haven't spent time with her, obviously with the pandemic in a long time. So that was really special. And during the day, I was the chef to keep for the Region 2 junior team. So shout out to my team. It was quite an experience. This is the first time I've done this. And later on in the show, we're going to have one of my fellow chefs, Liz Molloy. She's coming on to talk a little bit about our experience and what it was. But it was really fun. One of my favorite parts, though, Phil, was the Young Riders was during the World Championships in Denmark. And so we were able, and I'm sure there's pictures somewhere. I have pictures as well, where we all pulled up and the organizing committee opened the competition ring, and they let golf carts and chairs and people come in and sit, and we all sat around. They had popcorn, like somebody was bringing popcorn around, and we watched the freestyle, and it was such a special, it was just fun. It was fun to see the kids. They ran up to the screen when Adrian Lyle came down the center line, and we got their pictures, and it was just a really special thing that they did. And I just really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but what an event. I have to be honest, because I was so focused on the kids, I didn't get to watch as much of the World Championships as I should have, but oh my goodness, I was able to see Charlotte Fry and Glamourdale. Oh, I have a horse crush now for sure. How about you, Phil?
It seems like there's always a dark horse at the top, and not like a horse coming from nowhere or whatever, but like physically a black horse. From Totalist to what was Anki's horse before Totalist? Salinero.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
people are just in love with these black horses, and then Vallegro, of course, and so on. And a little bit different experience than what last World Championships were. We were running from a hurricane and the weather and stuff.
Yeah, yes, we went to try out.
Denmark gets very many. Yeah, Denmark doesn't get very many hurricanes. But. Well, congratulations to all the riders and the teams. I think it was really fun that the team championship was a little bit mixed up, rather than Germany winning like they do all the time, the Olympics and the World Championships. Denmark won their first World Championships. That was really exciting. Silver was Great Britain. Bronze was Germany. Fourth was Sweden. Fifth, Netherlands. Sixth, that's USA, was sixth. So I think the top 10 placers are now automatically qualified for the Olympics. That's in Paris is the next Olympics.
Yes.
So, and then Spain, Australia, Austria, Portugal, so on and so forth. So really good to see the different countries mixing it up in the competition. That's pretty fantastic for Denmark to be, champions at home. That's really fun.
Oh, so special. You felt for them. I was so excited for them. And just to be there in your home country, how cool is that?
So in the Grand Prix, that was Catherine Dufour won the Grand Prix, and then the Charlotte Fry Glamour Dale. Dinja van Leer from Holland was third. Charlotte, your favorite, was fourth on a different horse. That's Imhotep.
On a different new horse. She's a boss. I love her.
Isabel, the real boss.
Mm-hmm. The real boss.
Was fifth. Yeah, was fifth on a new horse.
Yes, also a boss.
I know a lot of riders just debuting horses this year and getting them some experience before the next Olympics. And then sixth, Benjamin Verdal. Seventh was Denmark again. Eighth, Denmark. Ninth, Frederick Vandres. 10th, Daniel Bachmann-Andersen. 11th, Patrick Kittel. 12th, Juliet Remmel. The Sweden's getting a stronger team. They're coming along here.
You're coming along. They really are. And they ride. It's very classical and beautiful. It's really, to watch the Swedish riders go, it's quite nice.
So yeah, I mean, congratulations. That was the Grand Prix was for team competition, and then the special was ridden. I guess they're giving a lot of medals these days.
Yes, they give so many medals. It's hard to keep track of, actually. Yes.
Yeah,
true.
Charlotte Fry won the special, followed by Catherine Dufour, and then Dinja van Leer.
Yeah, they were Isabel. All three of those guys were really. It's pretty. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty tight. The top score is 82, and then all the way down through 10th, 75. So I mean, it's tough competition. Yeah, I mean, they were all fun to watch. Oh. Yeah, I mean, it's all fantastic riding and fantastic horses and unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. So cool. And we have to give a shout out too to the U.S. para dressage team. They were bronze medal overall, which was amazing. Kate Schumacher was silver medal, and Becca Hart was bronze medal. So it was so fun. They're friends of our show. They've been on, and they're just awesome people. And I just got goosebumps when I saw it. I just was so thrilled for them. It just really made me happy. So really, if you get a chance, watch some of these rides online. And Phil, I cut you off. Sorry, right? I was so excited about the para, but we didn't talk about the freestyle, which was something to watch. It was spectacular. Yeah, I mean, they've changed sort of to doing freestyles at night, and kind of like a Wellington thing. Freestyle is under the lights, and I think that makes it much more dramatic, visually very dramatic, and I kind of wonder how the riders feel about it. But from watching at home, I think it's a really good decision to be doing the freestyle under the lights. And the stadium was packed. It was awesome. Yeah, I mean the Europeans really have an educated eye and really go to really turn out for these championships and really support it, and I think that's fantastic. The horses sometimes have a little issue with it because the noise of it, and just especially horses from North America don't get a lot of exposure to that. That's why we try to send the team riders over to Europe all the time, because if you're riding in the major championships, the sounds from the stands, it's very exciting, and horses are horses, and they can be spooky and they can have problems. So I think the teams really try to get people experience in those environments. For sure. I love it. Well, we hope you get a chance to take a look at it's online. It's easy to find. Just Google it, and it's amazing. And definitely take an afternoon or have a girls' night to watch it, because it's really worth your time. But we have a great show. We're going to jump right in, Phil, after this break from Kentucky Performance Products.
You hear a familiar whinny as you walk up to the barn. Her adorable face pops out over the stall, ears pricked in your direction. She snuffles you for a treat. Her soft lips gently brush against your palm as the treat disappears. She hangs her head close to yours as you share a quiet moment. You kiss her on the nose. The softness of her downy muzzle and the wonderful smell of horse fills your senses. The feeling you get when you kiss your horse. True love. This feeling is brought to you by Elevate. Fight back against vitamin E deficiencies that can cause muscle soreness, nerve dysfunction, and poor immune response. Elevate was developed to provide a highly bioavailable source of natural vitamin E to horses. It maintains healthy muscle and nerve functions, so horses are more likely to perform better and recover faster after training or competing. The horse that matters to you matters to us.
Well, tonight I am really excited to have one of my fellow chefs from last week at the North American Youth Championship, Liz Molloy from Terra Mia Farm. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Reese. It's nice to see you last week at NAYC.
I know we had a great time. So Liz, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you wind up as chef of the Region 3 team?
Well, I am a board member with my local GMO, and so we are Georgia Dressage and Combined Training. And so years ago, I brought forward an idea to host possibly the third London Grey Dressage for Kids Festival here in Atlanta. And so I needed to go to the board to basically ask for support, and they thought it was a fabulous idea and encouraged me to run for the board. And so I did. And then that meant I started going to convention. And then Sue Bender, who's our director, was just looking for more youth help. And so youth was my jam, or is my jam. And so I just absolutely started volunteering, and it was a coordinator for a few years. And then that led into the chef position.
Fantastic. And we were kind of explaining earlier in our intro, chef is kind of like the general manager. We kind of make sure that all the information is given to the riders and the coaches and the support teams, the grooms. We also do the draws, which is very interesting. I didn't know, I'd never actually sat in on a draw. So could you kind of explain that as at an international competition, sort of how that goes at the championships?
Oh, yeah. The draw is really fascinating. The team draw is actually different than for the individual. And so the team is, we get the same number of rubber duckies that we have teams. And then chefs are selected to come up and just pick a number or a rubber ducky. And on the bottom of that is a position for that team. So if Region 3 goes up and picks a ducky and it says number 5, then that means Region 3 will go in the 5th slot for each rider. And we hopefully have a full team of 4 riders. So every time there's, a full set of 8 goes, if I'm making the sense of this, then, that's our position. And then what they do for the individuals, it's actually really quite random. They literally just draw a position number and then a rider number. And so that's how the individual draws for the individual riders are selected. So it's quite fun. It can be suspenseful. And I was quite pleased for Region 3 as we actually drew literally the 8th slot. So it can be advantageous for our riders to go later in the set of each team placing. So that was exciting that we actually did draw the last spot. So
I'm just going to say, I was for my juniors, I was second to last. I was pretty happy. That was a pretty good draw. Okay. You want to draw later in the rotation. So my team, I'm just going to say, I also had a lucky, they were lined up rubber duckies and they were so super cute and they gave them to us. And it was a cute memento from the week. But I'm just saying, I was like you, because you're really nervous. You don't want to draw 1 or 2 and you have 0.
That's what I was going to say. Is that you nobody wants to be that number 1 slot, and you don't want to be the one responsible for drawing that number 1 slot. So
no, there's pressure.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of pressure.
That person. Oh, you don't want to be that person for your team. It's super.
That's right.
True. It's true. No, it's great, and that's right. So those draw lists are then put up for the riders and athletes. It's not always the day before. There are some days that the kids had off and that kind of stuff, but they're usually done either the evening before or the day before, depending on what draw it is. And that's the order of go. And, that is the hard part about NAYC. It's run just like, any other international team competition. So the athletes have to really get used to what that means and how that is and works, et cetera. So that was a really good deal. So that was my first time, again, sitting in on the draw. there were also some really fun things, wasn't there, Liz, during the week? I enjoyed the parade, and we had the watch party. That was probably my favorite, was the watch party. I don't know if you guys went to that.
We did not actually attend that, but it was wonderful that the horse show organizers have so many social events for us to attend to, outside of just playing competition. So it gets our mind off things. So, indeed. Yeah. I mean, opening ceremonies, to me, that is just a surreal moment. We go in the order, and I loved how they had the jumpers zones mixed in with our region. So the threes were with the threes, and that was just, really surreal. And then in the very end, they had the drone that lifted up. I have not gone back to watch a video of this, but it spelled NYC. And so we were the bottom of the C. We were like a little serif in the font because we had a golf cart with us due to our an injured rider. So we were made the little hook in the bottom of the C. So that was great fun.
We were on the N. So that was super fun, like the middle of the N, which was cool because they had it in spray paint on the ring. So we all knew where to stand. You go, you get your picture taken. It was really fun. I enjoyed that as well. It was great.
Yes, indeed. And it absolutely makes it feel like Kid Olympics. So,
yes. Yeah, that was great. I love it. And then your young rider team, woo, gold medalists.
Yes. That was so exciting. So again, going back to that draw, you put your weakest rider first to go in that, the batches of the 8. And so I put, according to their scores, the way that they qualified coming into NYC, I put my 4th rider as my first rider. And she held a top score in first place position with over 67% for the majority of the class. And then my second rider was second right behind her. So we had California on top, and then probably California below us, Region 7. Yeah. And so... But that's what secured the gold medal. And if I remember correctly, it was by 0.7 of a total point. I mean, 199 and blah, blah, blah and change, and 98 and change. So it's a real nail biter. That's what makes the team competition so absolutely exciting.
Oh, so fun. Really cool. No, it was fun to watch. It was just fun to watch. It was fun to be a part of it. And then, I knew Mary Claire, who was on your team. She trains here in Kentucky. So it was super fun to cheer them all on. And it was just a great week. And that was a tough competition because 7 was really strong. That's the California group. They were incredibly strong this year. So also fun to watch for sure.
Yes, indeed. And then Team 4 was the big challenge for us with the junior riders, Region 4. So
they were great. They were the Kement sisters and Ella. They were phenomenal. They were pretty unbeatable on our end. But it was just those girls. They've both been on the show. They're so fun. We love having them, and it was just great. It was a great week. Anything else, Liz, that you want to tell about the week or advice for parents as they move forward, getting ready for it?
Oh boy. The biggest number one advice I would tell any brand new parent is get that passport done like this fall.
Yes.
Do not wait to get it. And then of course, make sure the timing of the shot records is within the 6 months of the date of the actual competition. So we have to pay attention to that. But don't delay starting that passport application, and you may as well go ahead and pay for the expedition of it on top of it. And it's just worth to get it back in your hand because you just never know when things are out of your hands and control, So
that's a great tip.
But and then the fundraising is so important for these teams. And then parents, need to realize, with fundraising goes towards the team expenses. Meaning, chef expenses, if you bring a veterinarian, your own farrier, what have you, those are all part of the team expenses. It's not necessarily to pay for your personal horse, to get shipped. So, that's something that they need to have in mind as to what, fundraising actually goes for. So, and then there's many ways, of course, you can be so creative with fundraising. I've through my time, watched a girl make a bunch of banana bread and stand out in front of Tractor Supply and sell banana bread and make $700 in a day just for her own endeavors. And, kudos
Yes.
to her. We talk a lot about, the young children and riders and youth. At some point, they need to come off of their parents' bill. And so how can you become financially a little bit more independent? So fundraising, it doesn't matter. Anything and everything counts, don't belittle a tax sale or used clothing sale. I mean, all of it really does, contribute.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because, Traverse City, that area is beautiful, but it's high season for them and it's very expensive. I don't care where you are or what you're doing. It's a very expensive area. And like you said, each team technically brings 2 chefs. So, it gets, because I know I had the bills and it gets very expensive just to have us there. And we have to be there to help. My other thing was I told my riders they really had to pay attention to the communications that came out. That was really important. And not only answering the emails, but reading the emails, really reading them so they knew what was going on, but also knowing that things were going to change and being slightly adaptable in a competition. That happened a few times where, they would just change the schedule, but they would change it by like 30 minutes, especially for schooling and that kind of thing. And that was difficult for some of our athletes. And it was difficult for us too. Like, we didn't like it. That wasn't, I was like, don't kill the messenger. This is what we got. So a little bit of being clear that you're really listening and watching the communications. And this would be the same if you're at Pony Club championships or any big championships. Sometimes things change fairly quickly and to kind of be ready for that and be ready for that communication. So that was only my tip that I had along with the fundraising and that kind of stuff. So, and try to have, some of the things ironed out ahead of time, like the jog outfits and what you're going to wear in the parades and, some of that stuff, I think having that done ahead of time is really good. We had, somebody running around to try to find a skirt, or something. And it was like, oh, why did we do this? So I think some of that is important too. So yeah, but it's an amazing event, isn't it?
No, it absolutely is. Post-COVID, people really have picked that they're going to continue to show, pick their sport, pick what shows they're going to pursue. And the North American Youth Championships is clearly, the most prestigious event a youth member can really attend in their young adulthood. And so even just qualifying for and saying you were able to qualify, whether or not you actually attended, that's a feather in your hat, certainly. And just getting there, the kids have already won, regardless of how the competition plays out, from that point on. Of course, we want to continue to do well at the event itself, but it is truly the fruition of their effort, a fruition of their effort, I should say. And so that does make it very special indeed.
Exactly. Well, Liz, well said. And again, it was just a pleasure to work with you all week. And I hope to do it again in the future. And how can our listeners find you online, especially if they're in the in your Region 3 area? How can they chat with you?
I am on Facebook as Elizabeth Molloy, and so they can find me there. We do have a Region 3 Facebook page, and then I do have a Terramere Riding School, Miss Liz at terramereriding.com email. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
Well, everybody had a favorite morning drive show in the days we all listened to radio. They were goofy, funny, and entertaining.
You can have that again, only this time it focuses on life with horses. We are here every weekday on your podcast player. Search for Horses in the Morning and come join us.
We are a little goofy, hopefully funny and entertaining, and you might learn something along the way, too. We are the world's leading daily podcast about horses since 2010 with over 2,600 episodes for you to binge on. Subscribe today.
What are you waiting for? Pull your phone out of your pocket, blow off the hay, and subscribe to Horses in the Morning.
Well, tonight we are so happy to have one of our favorite guests. She's been on the show for many years, and she is a professional rider in Cleveland, Ashely Rand Torres of Art Dressage. Welcome back, Ashely.
Thank you. So happy to be back.
Well, I've wanted you on the show because you missed our 10-year anniversary shows, and you've been a huge part of the show for many, many years. I don't even know when I first tortured you to come on the show, but now you're a professional rider. You're riding for Canada. You ride internationally at Grand Prix, and we wanted to check in and say hi.
Well, hello. It has been a long time, but I'm glad to be back and give some insight on what's been going on.
Yeah, so you've had a lot going on recently. So we wanted to ask you about it. What have you been up to?
Well, I am in the middle of the summer here in Northern Ohio after a full year and a half down in Wellington training. So it's, bittersweet being so happy to be home and back running my business, but also, it's so good to be in Florida with my trainer and coach and constantly getting better all at the same time. So there's always pros and cons.
Yeah. Yeah. And at home now, you built with your family a very large barn, right?
Yeah. So we have like about 100 acres just east of Cleveland. I don't have that many stalls. I think right now I have about 14 horses, and we are full, spilling out horses everywhere.
Yeah. And you bred some, right? You did some breeding.
Oh yeah. I'm dipping my toe into everything I can. I bred one of my mares. So I have a yearling that I created, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing yet. We shall see. And then he had to have a friend because I didn't want him to grow up alone. So then I imported a yearling from Canada last winter. So I have 2 yearlings, a couple of retired guys, and then right now about 11 full training horses.
That is keeping you out of trouble, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So Ashely, talk to us. I mean, one of the reasons we wanted to chat tonight was, talking about kind of, and this could apply that, if you go to a clinic or if you go to your trainers for a week, or in your case, you were extensively training and now you've come home. And I think that's hard for everybody to sort of maintain focus. So we wanted you to kind of talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I consider myself a really intense person to begin with. So in both extremes, I can find myself when I'm in Wellington, or if I, even when my coach comes for the weekend, we have an intense couple of days of learning, developing so many new things, and you get really amped up and excited for the future, and it's great. And then when that leaves, or you come home or whatever, sometimes you go through a period of time where it's like you look around and you're like, I'm alone. You start questioning yourself, or, oh, my horse didn't do this during the clinic or training, and you don't have the help there. So sometimes you can not get like in a lull of training, but you kind of just back off, and it's not as productive, I would say, as it would be, full time with a coach or trainer. But like this past summer, it was really good for me because I took a step back. My horses had a year and a half of full blown, we were really hammering the training. And sometimes it is okay. And you have to remind yourself it is okay to take them on long hacks instead of going and schooling the Grand Prix or making everything perfect. It's okay to have times where they also have a break mentally and physically themselves, not just you. So it's definitely good and bad all at the same time. We're all working through it together.
Yeah, I think it's really important to try to figure some stuff out on your own. We all have the experience of having, your trainer or somebody, a good knowledgeable person, standing in the middle, looking at what you're doing and saying, okay, this needs to be better. That could be better, or it could be more like this and more like that, And then you've got to try to, figure it out for yourself and figure out, how do I get that kind of performance out of my horse and out of myself when there isn't a really good expert standing there motivating you, helping you to kind of, lead you to success. That's got to come from, kind of within, and it's got to come from, more learning and more, trying to work hard, but to figure it out on your own and to figure out what works for you and what works for your horse. And that's a really tough process, I think.
Yeah, and I think you put it really that was really well said, because I do feel like there was a time where I was like, okay, we need a break, and then after really, I'm really new to the international Grand Prix scene, and I had someone there with me holding my hand for a year. They're like, we're doing this, and they basically told me what to do, when to do it. And coming home, I had to figure that out on my own. So it's overall making me a better trainer and rider, coming home and making those mistakes and saying, okay, that didn't work. Now plan B. And that's basically what training and riding is, right? Like, you try something, it doesn't work, you try something else. And I think I'm making a better Grand Prix horse in this process, with me messing up and then having to find what works and becoming a better rider myself.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a process. It doesn't matter if you're riding Grand Prix or you're doing whatever level you're doing, right? There's times in riding where you really need a lot of help, or you've had a lot of help and your trainer goes on vacation, or, whatever. And you're out there by yourself and you have to kind of figure it out. And truly, at the end of the day, when you're at a competition, you will be in that ring by yourself with your horse for 7 minutes. So on some level, to kind of, we're all trainers. We all have horses in full training. We train people full time. But, at some point it is okay to step back and say, all right, let me try this myself. And now, Ashely, I know you do virtual lessons. That is very helpful too. If you're really stuck, right, you can, you've done that, right? You've done some virtual stuff.
Yeah. So I've taught virtual lessons. I taught some all last year when I was in Florida. And I take 1 to 2 virtual lessons a week from my trainer, but it's more, I find the virtuals really helpful just to check in. I like to check in and say, these are the exercises I found really helpful this week with these problems. You can't get into the nitty gritty virtually, at least I haven't found that, but it is helpful just for me personally, to be like, okay, you're on the right track. You're still on the right road. You're going in the right direction. And all of my horses. And I think that gives also a peace of mind, just, okay, we're not messing things up. We're all going in the right direction. So, the virtuals, there are definitely pros and cons to it. I like teaching virtuals a lot because I find there's a good balance between, I'm not physically there, so they have to ride better. I find people ride better and are smarter in their riding when I teach virtuals, because I'm not, standing right there telling them every step. I'm like, give them an exercise and I can talk them through it, but it's a different feeling.
A lot of it is really just a confidence thing, right? If you've got your coach on the line, talking to you virtually, that's going to give you enough confidence to go after the exercises and really ride like you said. It's hard to do that, on your own and absolutely no one watching, and then you just kind of go about the exercises and the work that you've been given as homework, but you don't really have the confidence to, ride really crisp transitions, for instance, or things of this nature.
Yeah, definitely. I do. I like that there's technology to help us, when we're not right there. But it's a lot about confidence. In riding, you need a lot of confidence, and I think that's a big part of our job, is to help people find the confidence in what they're doing and executing it, even when we're not there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so true. And I think that is part of it too, as you go forward, and then you, especially in a Florida type situation where it is so intense all the time. And it's very easy to be intense because everyone around you is intense. If that makes sense, like, we're all doing the same thing and we're all supportive and we're all there and we're all talking about it. When you go home, it isn't like that as much. It's almost like you let the air out of the balloon. And I think you talked about it a little bit when you said, like, I gave the horses a break, but then, yeah, you got to get ready and show and do what you're going to do. So I think that's really important to always remember that and to have guidance, but, do it yourself, right?
And it takes a lot of planning. I used to not think too much about it until you have to plan, okay, I'm leaving Florida this time of year, this month, and you have to plan, okay, the horses need some downtime. Mentally, I needed downtime. That much intensity for a year and a half is just exhausting. And I myself was just overly exhausted. So we came home, and then you have to plan out, okay, how do I build them back up? How do I build their fitness back up? How do I approach this? I want to show when, because then it's another climb to another season in Florida or another summer show season. So for me, it took a lot of sitting down and looking at the calendar, what I wanted to do and how to let them have their break, but also gradually build them back up into performance shape.
Yeah, I think you've got to really look, at all times, 3 months ahead at least to be able to perform, at your best and to have your horses performing at their best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ashely, what's next? What is the next climb for you?
So right now, I just submitted some paperwork. I'm hoping to do Devon as my first Grand Prix CDI. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that goes well. And then I'm honestly just starting to get ready for Florida again. This fall we'll be getting them ready to go back to Florida and hopefully do the shows down there. I have a small tour horse that I'm excited. He's really coming along. And so hopefully I'll have 2 international horses for a season next year, which will be really exciting.
Oh, that'll be so excited. I'm your number one fan, so I will be there. And I love it. And I love seeing you guys grow and develop. It's so fun. So Ashely, how can our listeners find you online if they're interested in your training program?
They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Art Dressage, and I am always around. Facebook or text me. I have a website, artdressage.com. And yeah, I love to talk, and anyone has questions, I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Ashely.
Thank you guys so much.
Well, for tonight's tip of the week, we are so excited to have Tony Sandoval, our trainer, my trainer, and he helps me a lot. We're going to talk about injuries tonight, aren't we, Tony?
Yeah. Yeah, we totally are. It was inspired by real life acts that are happening as we speak.
Yeah, I saw Tony this morning and I was like, Tony, my shoulder hurts. My legs hurt. So, but no, seriously, riders, we're constantly, and it's a little bit in the culture to say, oh, your horse stepped on your foot, like get up there and ride, kids. But no, I think a lot of what you've really helped me with is knowing sort of when it's real pain and when do I need to really pay attention to it. And when do we need to call a doctor, just general sort of, it's not always good to tough it out. Right. So I think that's sort of embedded it a little bit in our culture. So we wanted to talk about that with you tonight.
Yeah, no. And again, I think given our current status here, it is important to understand when just taking care of your body is the call, and then when going to a doctor, or if the doctor's sending you to a physio or physical therapist, that you should actually follow doctor's orders and go to a therapist so that they can help you not only get out of pain faster, but also stop you from yourself, because I know that in the culture it is get up and get back at them, but you never stop to think at the expense of the horse, what's going to happen there.
Yeah, for sure. When I was younger, and you can fall off and you can just get back on and you can, just keep going. But I've noticed, as I'm getting older, all of those falls and all those things, they add up, right? And then, maybe if I had taken care of each of those things, or, done a little bit better job, that I wouldn't have all these aches and pains and just sort of the accumulation of the injuries. And, I'm certainly not recovering as fast as I used to. And, you really feel it later on in life.
Right. And I think that in every sport that is common, and my experience with dealing with pain has been with dealing with a lot of sports, and where, the severity is relative to the sport. So in football, obviously those are very high impact injuries that, when, there's a major injury that you should be going to the doctor. But then there's these little aching ones, like say in women's soccer, where somebody gets a Charlie horse and then there's a bruise that accumulates there and inflammation. And then when is it okay? Well, we don't need to go to the hospital per se. The edema is not that bad, but we do need to take some precautions and protocols, see the right personnel so that they can make sure that it's not anything serious, and just more soft tissue care, as we call it. So knowing the difference is, I think, very important.
Well, I think for when we're managing our horses, we're for sure looking to, reduce inflammation at all the junctures, so that these things don't, build up or come back, or, we're very good at taking care of our horse athletes, and we're very poor at taking care of our own bodies and our own riders.
Yeah, and Phil, I mean, I use every type of analogy when it comes to what the equestrian knows about their horse, and then how the similar training program, regimen, whatever you want to call it, that goes into the horse can be done to the person as well. So when it comes to injuries, right now I have or had a pinch machine on my leg to help some inflammation that I got going on in my leg. And I will, since it's a soft tissue, I know I don't need to go to the doctor, but I'll probably go and get a massage or something to work out some of this tissue and probably be fine. But what I did, for example, is I knew that my leg was killing me all day, and I wanted to get a training session in, even walking. Well, I can't even walk, or even row or bike or anything. So I just decided today I'm going to do something that is going to help me with my mobility, lengthening up muscles so that I don't walk weird, and then my back hurts. And then my low back hurts, and it'll start creeping up all the way to my upper back and my neck. So what I do is, and I talk to the riders, is when you get off, when you're come off a fall, and I get the mentality. The horse can't know that this is okay. The horse has to know that there's consequences to this, or at least maybe consequences is not the right term, but we're going to get back on and we're going to do this because this is what needs to be done. And I guess that's fine at the time, but then you have to have already a plan, so that depending on the type of fall it was, that once you're done with that lesson with the horse, then you do take care of yourself. What do you need to ice? What do you need to heat? What do you need to do? Maybe going to a therapist, a chiropractor, or what is severe enough that you're going, okay, I can't breathe right. I may need to go to the doctor and not just tough it out. Maybe you broke some ribs. Depending on the fall, even TBIs, where it's a traumatic brain injury, where now you might have had a concussion. Like, there has to be some levels that you check off and you go, okay, well, I feel like I'm okay, but the lights are very bright. Nobody's here. I may just want to sit it out, and that's the worst thing you can do. Anytime there's a head injury, my safe thing is, you're going to wait in a waiting room. But at least for someone to say it was not a big deal when it comes to your brain, that's a small price to pay. Because doing nothing and then going to sleep, and then possibly not being able to wake up, that's a big deal. But so many people do that. They'll just, that's the number one thing, is they try to keep you awake. In football, we saw this all the time. You get sleepy for a reason, and you don't want to go to sleep. They keep you up for a certain amount of time, so that they can see what's going on. They can see the reactions. They can see what your eyes are doing. But I think there's not a lot of education, and a lot of the associations in the equestrian world are trying to educate people, but it's only, the education only goes so far when people actually open up the emails or read the literature that the associations are trying to put out, right? So still people don't know what the proper procedure is when you fall off and you hit your head.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I've completed my training, my coach training, and for sure we had to watch quite a lot of material on concussions, and they are a huge deal, and people should take them seriously. there's no such thing as a small concussion, or, I was only knocked out for, 30 seconds or something.
5 seconds.
Yeah. People need to, at any point that you think that you lost consciousness, then you must be assessed by a doctor, and you have to go for the regular visits and be cleared before you get on another horse, because maybe the first one is, not a big deal, but the second one you can die from, right? If you get 2 concussions, 2 brain injuries back to back, the second one's going to be fatal. So, in equestrian sports, we should be taking these things very, very seriously.
Yeah, and it always depends, again, on who's receiving this information, because, again, if it's a working student that something like that happened, there's no time to go to the doctor. There's always like, I'm fine. It was only a small fall, but then you see the helmet and you're like, oh, it's a small fall, but that helmet says otherwise. And what I've learned is to help people so that if that does happen, I can help minimize. I can't prevent any TBIs. I mean, even football, they have the best equipment, the most sophisticated science, and they still get concussions. And the best thing that they do is that they know is to push for making the athlete's neck stronger, neck training. Well, I've tried to do that. I have to learn how to sell that type of training to equestrians, because one of the things is, yes, we have to measure hypertrophy. In football, we can predict who's going to get a concussion by the size of their neck. Obviously, the smaller the neck, the more likelihood that you're going to be knocked out when you play football. So it is a big emphasis to increase the anthropometry of the neck. Well, if I sell that to, especially the female population who don't want necks like that, well, that's a hard no. That's a hard pass. I'm just going to buy this cool helmet. But little do they know, you can put the nicest helmet on a head, but if it doesn't have the structure to actually support the head, I don't care what helmet you have, it's not going to help you. And I know that's probably against whoever's listening to this, and that is all about the helmets and the different brands. I'm telling you, especially sport like football has so much more advanced technology than what I see in the equestrian sports, and they still can't prevent them because they know it's just something inevitable. So what I try to do is go, okay, we're going to strengthen necks. I'm going to push, especially on my jumping athletes, and you're going to take a supplementation of EPA, which is omega-3, is found in there, of at least 1,000 milligrams. Why? Because the research shows that when somebody gets a very bad TBI, the first line of supplementation or medication is a high dose of EPA. So that type of supplement will enter the blood-brain barrier, start to help take out all the inflammation that is in the brain, and to lessen or speed up the recovery process. But in the research article, it also showed that if you take it as a supplement, it also helps you recover faster than just taking it as a form of medication after you've been concussed. So I push that on everybody is, are you on omega-3? Oh, it tastes, I burp it up, put it in the refrigerator. Trust me, burping up the omega-3s is a lot better than having an eye that doesn't work and losing your vision, or having some sort of like stroke-like effects from a TBI. It's awful. So I think that to me is one of the first things when especially like eventers or show jumpers, hunter jumpers, is make sure that you're taking supplementation like EPA, omega-3 with the dosage of at least 1,000 milligrams per dose every day. Because it's just one of those things that just like a horse takes a certain supplements for the line of work that they do, this is the supplement that you should be taking as well.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's really true. I mean, in paying attention to it, and that really isn't something you want to play around with. Tony, what about, I come in a lot and I'm like, my neck hurts, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, and you've been really helpful, right? So now that I have, I see you once a week, every Monday morning, and we work on it. And a lot of times you're getting me loose for the week, and it's really started to make a difference for me. But I get a lot of aches and pains. So how do you, advise the older athletes, to kind of minimize that? if they don't get to see you every week. I'm very lucky.
Right. And I work with a lot of older riders because those are the ones that find the value in getting out of pain. The 21-year-old, there's no value. They're just tough. They're young. They recover faster. It's not that they don't value it in the sense of I don't think I'm going to get injured. It's just that they recover so much quicker from those injuries. It goes by so much faster. But as we age, injuries will stay with us for months, right? So what I do with you and what I do with a lot of my other older athletes, I first prioritize making sure that you have good muscle tissue quality. So a lot of the things that I do with you with the Theragun and doing a lot of just overall releasing tension from the muscle. Because once we can do that, then the next phase would be now let's start mobilizing. So all the exercises that we do, Reese, with the sticks and just going through a dynamic warm-up. Now that the muscle tissue will allow movement, we got to move. Movement is medicine. Even though you're achy, once you start getting blood moving, and blood carries a lot of important nutrients in it that supply the muscles to help it start becoming more, we call it being more hydrated, not in the sense of water, but it's more about having the right type of tissue quality, which has a lot of different fluids in there. So that way you can move better. And then if you move better, well, then it offsets for some time what your posture, or say you were traveling a lot, Reese, that's a lot of sitting down. Well, we have to reset that. So if you just went from traveling all the time and then going down and starting to ride your horses or give lessons standing all day, then you're going to be in pain. So, and again, especially for yourself, maybe not so much for the working student that's 21, they can rebound faster. So it's all about taking care of muscle tissue quality, doing a lot of work like foam rolling. I like to do work with my clients. It's called the myofascial release. And you can, Google all kinds of things, but they usually use things like vibrating massage balls, the Theragun, or anything like that, a vibration gun that you can buy on Amazon. And of course, getting massages. But that's, getting that daily can get kind of expensive. So doing self releases or soft tissue work is going to help. After you get your soft tissue, then you start doing dynamic warm-ups, things that are going to improve your mobility in your ankles, your hips, your upper back. And then after some time, if you stay consistent with it, you start getting out of pain. When I work with people and they can't even mount their horse and they're always in pain, and they start dedicating themselves, because it's not fancy, it's not sexy, it's not all the bells and whistles. So when they first see a program like this, they're going, this seems boring. But you know what? The basics, right? Just like you all two know this very well, setting a good foundation, all the rest of the movements that you want to teach is so important. So for this type of training, this is my foundation. If you don't have high quality muscles, yes, when you fall, you're going to get injured easier. You don't have any of the hydration in your muscles, so they're stiffer. So when they hit, you're going to feel it a lot more than someone that has proper working muscles. You're going to be more mobile. So if you fall and you get a weird leg swing, your body can understand where that leg is and not freak out and tighten up the leg because it doesn't own that range of motion. You are so stiff that if you fall and your arm flails off to the side, well, then your shoulder's going to get hurt because you didn't mobilize it. You didn't do anything to help so that you have a wide spectrum of movements. Because when you fall, there's not a lot of people that fall gracefully, right? So you got to make sure that you train yourself so that you have all this range of motion that will help you recover from injury faster. It doesn't prevent anything. It just helps with the recovery. And that's all training does, helps with the recovery.
Oh, Tony, as always, you have the best just way of saying it and going over it. And so how can our listeners find you online if they want some more information? Because you've got lots of great tips online.
Yeah, so I have my Instagram, which is my main area where I post all my content. And my Instagram handle is @Coach Training, all one word. On Facebook, that migrates over there as well. And that's just Coach Sando Training, 3 words. And people can go to my website, which is coachsandotraining.com. And there's a place there where you can leave some, your information. I'll get back to you with any questions or anything like that.
Tony, thank you so much. You're awesome as always. And I hope this helps a lot of our athletes out there stay healthy and stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Well, as always, we love email and Facebook shout outs. And our first Facebook shout out is going to Ruth, because Ruth is amazing. And we had actually compiled a list. It was supposed to go on our website, but she compiled a list of all the book club books. And we are so thankful because I put it right on our Facebook page. Everyone's been asking for this. It was amazing. So Ruth made it happen and got it on the Facebook page. So go to our Facebook page, Dressage Radio Show, and you will find all the books from the book club. They're right there, and you can get them at horseandriderbooks.com because we had Martha on from Trafalgar Square, and it's really cool to hear her story and how these books come to be. It's really cool. So don't forget, we do have a book club going on right now. Daniel Stewart, Bolder, Braver, Brighter. It's a great book, especially as we move forward toward the championship season and regional finals, etc. So we hope you like it a lot. And as always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
I think the best way to find me is probably through Facebook, or my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on a good show. That's Kentucky Performance Products. And if you'd like to support our show and the Horse Radio Network, you can do that through the Auditor program found at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we'll talk to you next week.